Welcome to the Giving Business Soul podcast, where we speak with successful entrepreneurs who have learned to integrate soul and business, redefining leadership and ultimately utilizing business as a force for good. Yeah, I think, to kind of get us opened up here, I certainly want to welcome you to the podcast. It's good to have you here, brother. And
Thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But I really want to just kind of frame this for everybody listening, because you've had a really, really interesting story from my perspective. You obviously sort of really fit the avatar and the archetype of Giving Business Soul. You're somebody that's an entrepreneur. You're somebody that already has been on the journey of awakening.
Mm-hmm.
You had already started the process before you and I ever met.
Yeah.
And you were already kind of down deep into the pathway of like waking up, as we call it here, right? And I think from that standpoint, I think it's interesting because a lot of people have maybe experienced what you have experienced, and I'll let you share that portion of the story, but they've woken up, they began to experience a greater sense of reality, and those are many doorways that people can take, right? Sometimes people have big life events that just sort of wake them up. Sometimes people do psychedelic pathways. There's all sorts of ways that people wake up. And you obviously took a very specific doorway. And then once you wake up, though, as you experience, you kind of like, okay, well, what's next? And how do I really anchor all of that in? Because like, you certainly get a great sense that there is a greater reality, that all is love, that everything is connected, that there's a sort of spiritual domain. But then the real work is like, how do I anchor that? How do I make that a part of my day-to-day life? And so I really maybe like to go in through that doorway to get us started, and really speak a little bit about, also to kind of lay context about your path as an entrepreneur, because you've been an entrepreneur for some time now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, sort of the avatar and the archetype that Giving Business Soul is looking for. We're looking for that entrepreneur that's already sort of in the space and though is looking at doing things differently. So with that, bro, I'd love for you to share your story, man.
So I think ever since I was a kid, like I always felt like something was off in a way, I guess you could say. Growing up, you go through a ton of experiences, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that I did realize and did learn, that everybody has traumas. Everybody, even the most, I guess, like the most perfect person that you would see, they've gone through something at some point in their life. And I guess it's pretty normal. I mean, we're all living in this chaotic world. So I think what really like shifted me to want to start looking into this, because one of the things that I went through was that something that's very common in today's world, which is anxiety. I dealt with a lot of anxiety, and with anxiety comes depression. With depression comes a whole bunch of other stuff, insomnia, like all kinds of crazy stuff. So I wasn't sleeping right. I had gained a lot of weight, and no matter what I did, I couldn't lose weight. It was just like, it was almost like hitting like a dead end road all the time. And, it's like you hit a dead end road and then you like start over. Okay, let me try something else. You try that other thing and it just doesn't work. You try something else, it just doesn't work. And you see it working for other people and you question it, like, why the hell doesn't this work for me, And of course, with all that comes even more anxiety and more frustration and more of just everything, right? Well, my anxiety got so bad that I had to go on medication. I was on medication for a few years, and I hated the way it made me feel. I hated the way I felt like I couldn't, like I would function, but I felt like I wasn't functioning to my full potential. And I just hated taking it, and I tried getting off it little by little, but the days that I wouldn't take it, I wouldn't feel normal. And then the days that I would take it, I still didn't feel normal. So it was just like, it was like a constant battle. And, just like anything else, though, you have your good days, you have your bad days. And I guess on days that I didn't feel that anxious, and taking the medication, that's when I would feel good because my anxiety levels were low. But what all that was, it was just a Band-Aid. That's all that was. It was just a Band-Aid. It was just like, let me cover it up, just, just for right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, what you don't know, you don't know. So an opportunity came up to start exploring through plant medicine. So I started discovering that I was guided to go that route or to try that route. You know,
Right.
at that point,
You're willing to try anything. It's like, hey, give me
Yeah.
something that can maybe help me here.
yeah, pretty much. And it was like I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was scared to do it.
Sure.
I was afraid to do it because I didn't know what that was gonna do. I didn't know. Like I had just heard stories of like, oh, this can open you up to something else, or it can be worse, or whatever. But I mean, I think at that point, I just needed to trust, and even up, when you're gonna do plant medicine, you go through a lot of preparation
Yeah.
beforehand, and just watching different videos and watching different.
Yeah.
I'm like hooked on YouTube, like looking at all these different things. But one of the things that made me feel a little more comfortable to do it was that documentary. It was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there, but the Fantastic Fungi.
Oh, yeah.
When I watched that
Yeah.
that documentary, I kind of started to understand what it was, and then I started seeing how they spoke about how psilocybin mushrooms have been helping people with postpartum depression. They've been
Right.
treating a lot of veterans with that. And I was like, oh crap, like this could be something good.
Yeah.
So my perspective on it changed a bit. I was still scared though, and I was still
Sure.
like really nervous to try it. So I ended up doing it, and through my journey, I started seeing like some really deep traumas and patterns and stuff that I was going through. I started seeing why our business would like go up and go down and go up and go down. And I started like seeing it, everything just got very clear. And I went through a scene that ended up around that time, my parents had their business and they ended up losing their business, and they had to kind of learn to restructure and kind of revamp themselves at that point. But because of what they experienced, I was taking that as my own, own story,
Yeah. Wow.
without even realizing. I mean, it was very traumatic. There was a lot of little events that happened, a lot of things that happened during that time, but I was referencing their story to me.
That's amazing.
So every time, we would have like really good months, and then boom, everything would just stop and then just drop. And it's like, and I'm thinking over here, like, man, like, why is this happening? Why does this happen? Like, why does this keep happening? So we would be elevated again on a, great energy, like
Great
good momentum, good vibes, everything's going good. We'll go on a 2-3 month span, and then boom, again. And I was like, what the hell? So, combination with that, anxiety and everything, and that was also causing my anxiety.
Yeah, of course, of
So-
course. Like being on an up and down roller coaster
Exactly.
financially. That, I mean, just to kind of pause it there for a second, that's pretty astonishing. That to be able to really see the parallels and how we're just so unaware,
Yeah.
right? When we're growing up, when we're going through experiences, we think, oh, we're just observing our parents, and this is just what happened to them, and that was their story. It has nothing to do with me. What we rarely come to find out once we start to do this deeper work, it's like we're so impressionable. Where these are like what I call our formidable years or formatable
Yeah.
years. It's like all of a sudden you just took on this data, you get formatted. You don't even realize it,
Yeah.
and it's like this becomes your way of seeing the world. And it's like you see the ups, you see the downs, and all of a sudden you're living it and you're like, man, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
It's like I'm just living out that experience there. So, and then to see it, in a journey like that, and then make the parallel and go, oh my God, I see it now. And then that then begins the process, I'm sure, of untangling it. And
Yeah, and mind you, this happened like when I was experiencing what I was going through was nearly like 20 years later after that happened.
wow.
So, going through my journey, like I think after I came out of journey, I was just like, what the F, dude? I was like, no way. And right after the journey, we were integrating. And, I got chosen to go first. And I was just talking and talking and talking. And I don't know where it was all coming from. I was just like, blah, 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 blah. And I saw this and this is this, this is this. But by me integrating that, I started making sense of it. And I was like, holy crap. So after that first psilocybin mushroom journey, I started feeling my anxiety levels start dropping. And I went from taking the medication every day, like I was like clockwork. Every day I had to take it. And I went from taking it every day to taking it like every other day, every 2 days. Like I started feeling like I don't need it as much anymore. And there were certain days that it would like escalate and I had to, so when I was coming off it is when I really started feeling the real effects of it. Like, I just felt even more depressed. I felt like my energy levels just really low, unmotivated. One of the things that would help me though, that I was religiously going to the gym, and I would go because I was like, I just need to move, and not really knowing that was kind of like, it was helping me to kind of surpass what the medication was making me feel.
Sure.
But I didn't really realize that when you move, when you exercise, you're moving that energy.
Yeah, exactly.
In your body. And not really doing that subconsciously. That's what I was doing. I was just moving the energy, and that's why I would feel better. Even though I still had to take the medicine every now and then. So then a little bit after that, an opportunity came up to go to Costa Rica. And at first I was like, no, like, okay, other people want to go, cool. It's for them. And it's kind of weird, like, when somebody tells you like, oh, I felt this call me, or I felt like this was calling me. Well, just out of the blue, like I felt like all of a sudden Costa Rica was calling me. And I started seeing it everywhere, social media, on TV, and
that dang algorithm, the algorithm guy.
Even driving, I saw a couple buses with like,
Wow.
with like travel agencies, but they had Costa Rica, and I was like, what the hell, like, dude, what the hell's going on? So one day I was sitting in my office, and the whole thing with Costa Rica wasn't for just a trip to go have fun. This was to do ayahuasca.
Wow.
And I didn't know about any of this plant medicine until I started looking at all that stuff. And then I was like, oh, shit, what the hell is ayahuasca?
Yeah.
Started looking at it.
Right.
And I started seeing some videos. I was like, oh, hell no, I ain't doing that. And it just started calling me. And I started feeling like this sense of, it was weird because I was in my office and I was sitting there and I was like, I opened up my laptop and I had Safari on. And for some reason, same thing, Safari came on and like some kind of an ad popped up with another travel agency with Costa Rica. And I was like, what the hell? And then I was like, all right, let me see what's going on Facebook. I jump on Facebook, and then that group that had presented Costa Rica to me popped up again. I was like, dude, what the hell's going on? And I was like, okay, you know what? I closed my laptop, and I just put my head back and closed my eyes. And I was like, and I used to always hear, or like just from what I was researching, I saw that people reference ayahuasca to mother.
Right.
And the way some people reference it to, before I went through the whole journey, I would see, like, when I would watch videos, people say Mother Aya, Mother Aya. So I'm like, all right, Mother Aya, if you're up there, give me the sign. And if you give me the sign, then I guess I'm coming, because I guess this is you calling me. And then and it's crazy because I sat there and I opened my eyes and I'm looking around my office and I'm like, well, there's nothing here. So, okay, I guess it's just me, whatever. And I open up my laptop and I go into something else, and I go into my email, and I get an email, like an advertisement of another travel agency in Costa Rica right there. I'm like, oh, dude, this is not a sign, what is.
Yeah.
So at that point I signed up for it, and we went. And Costa Rica, doing ayahuasca, it really, again too, I was a little nervous about it too. just you're just afraid of the unknown. So I go through ayahuasca, and then I did start getting nervous when I found out it was going to be 3 journeys, not one.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh crap. And then
Yeah.
and then later it was like, oh yeah, it's going to be at night. So it's going to be in complete darkness. I was like, oh crap. So then after I was like, well, I already signed up for it. I already paid for it. We're going. And I would just tell myself like, dude, man up. Don't be little, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So we go. And again, I started just kind of watching videos and doing a lot of different things. And I started finding videos of people that had gone through it and that they've gotten a lot of like great outcomes out of it. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to try to look at this in a positive way, and took it in that positive outcome. So we went and, go through all the journeys. And even that could be a whole another like 3-hour podcast in
Yeah,
itself.
sure.
So anyways, going through the journey, after the very first journey, I was done with medicine, with any kind of antidepressant or anxiety medicine I was taking.
Wow.
Because it showed me a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you're under journey. I think we were under for like 6 or 7 hours the first night. And again, I was just like blown away.
Right.
And then after that first night, I was like, all right, now I need to see more.
Yeah.
Went through the second night, then went through the third day. The third journey was during the day, so it felt cool. It was good. But man, everything, like, it's just crazy how everything amplifies. Everything amplifies. Everything, like, you hear everything, you see everything, and I was just like, whoa, what the hell? This is crazy, But one of the things, like, my first night was very dark. Very dark, scary. I saw a lot of things that I needed to see for me to get perspective on other things.
Yeah.
Second night, it started being a little better. With the second night is what actually told me to get back into music. And because I had kind of stepped away from I run a record label, and I kind of stepped away from doing production. I was just running the label, releasing music for other people, but nothing of myself.
I told you to go play again.
And told me to play again.
Yeah.
And
fun.
then or start producing again.
Yeah.
And then the third day was, man, it felt like a party. It was pretty
Celebration.
awesome. Yeah, the third day was pretty awesome. And it was a great trip overall. We did a lot of integrating there. But one of the things that happened to me, that coming back for, man, this was like almost 3 years that we did this. And you and I started working together, like last June?
Yeah, about
around
a year, yeah.
So from that point until around June, I felt like I was in limbo. Like a lot of things would come up, and I just didn't know how to work through them. I started feeling that anxiety again. I started feeling a little bit of that depression again. And but at that point, I knew. And I was in a whole nother state where I was like, I am not going back to medicine, to the
pharmaceutical, the pharmaceuticals, yeah.
So I said, all right, the way you and I came into contact, also it was more like an emergency type of setting, because everything that I was feeling had escalated, like super, super high. So I was like, all right, you know what? Just sitting with you and talking with you, that first day, I felt like a sense of hope.
Well, let's frame that. I just kind of walk them through that then, because so then you obviously opened the sort of wake up through the shamanistic path, you know, the medicine path per se, and certainly opens you. It certainly helps with a lot of different things, specifically the anxiety and the depression and those sort of perspectives.
Yeah.
You go through it, you get some great insight, and then you certainly come off the medicine, and that feels great. But then it sounds like you're kind of in that limbo, kind of in the Bardo state, if you will. There's just kind of like a little bit of a dark cloud, I think you've mentioned before. And it's like, okay, like what's going on? Like, I'm certainly not going to go back to the pharmaceuticals, but why am I in limbo? Why am I there? And I think I have an event, and your wife Gina comes to the event, and she decides to go through the round table, and that's the curriculum that Giving Business Soul offers. And I think she has some really big shifts inside of that. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think she shared a couple different things that might have been shared in the session with me.
Yeah.
And then that sort of catalyzes sort of this really interesting, like what's going on, what just happened in my consciousness.
Yeah.
And then I get a text.
It triggered a lot of emotions for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then I get a text from Gina,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like an SOS. Well, hey, do you mind talking to my husband George?
Yeah.
And I said, sure. What's going on?
Yeah.
And then you and I get in a call.
Yeah.
What might have been like a 30-minute conversation lasts like 3 hours or two and a half hours. It was a long
I
time.
felt like I was on a Joe Rogan podcast, man, for for 3 hours. Dude, we were talking, but you know what though? Like, yeah, it's the best way I could put it. I think I felt lost.
Mm,
I felt lost. I felt like I didn't have any true direction, and we had good, or I had a lot of good days, and then I would have like some really bad days, and I just didn't know what the hell was going on. There was a lot of questions too, ton of questions that I didn't know who to turn to. Like I didn't know who had the right answers, and I'm just doing a lot of searching and digging, and yeah, when that first time that you and I spoke, it was through like a trigger effect. And we started talking, and you like one of the biggest things, man, that really helped me, and that I think what I really understood after that first call, that my nervous system was out of whack, and because of my nervous system is why I couldn't control anything else. So you told me one thing: breathe through your nose. Don't breathe through your mouth. Breathe through your nose, and you had me doing that breathing pattern with you. And I think by like the fourth or fifth breath, I felt my anxiety level just drop. And I was like, what the
this guy's a magician.
I was like, dude, I was like, thank you. I'll see you later.
Yeah, thanks. How much do I owe you?
But I just felt like it was amazing. I was like, what the hell? Like I had never heard that just by breathing, you could do this. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then I was like, oh man, like this is, in my mind, I was like, dude, this is freaking crazy. This is insane. I mean, we shared a lot on that first call because it was like a 3 hour long
It was,
call.
yeah, and I think one of the things that I picked up on it, obviously, like, because since I do a lot of facilitating, I'm literally just really scanning the individual, and one thing that I consistently saw you doing while you were dialogue was,
Yeah.
taking these breaths in through your mouth, and I just saw it over and over again, and like this desire to gasp air, and so I caught that, and I mean, that was just like a real easy nugget to give you immediately and then to give you the frame of like, humans are meant to breathe through the nose because that activates your rest and recovery, and then mouth breathing activates the fight or flight.
Yeah.
And most people don't even know that thing because we never got taught that. Maybe in biology, but I doubt it.
Who was
doubt
paying
it.
attention in
Who's
school?
yeah,
though?
exactly at that level? Who's like paying attention?
Man,
We need like
especially in my school, man.
yeah,
Hell.
exactly, right? You need like a human manual. It's like, here's how the manual works for the human body. But we didn't get that. But certainly, I think you bring up an interesting point. I think Jose Rodriguez really brought up an interesting sort of visual. I think like when people kind of do the wake up and they want to kind of, go into the higher space and ascend, it's like you have the bottom of the ladder, and then you got the top of the ladder.
Yeah.
And it's like the other elements are missing.
Yeah.
And it takes some exploration, some seeking to like find those pieces to put the rest of those pieces of the ladder together and go, oh, that's how I do it. And obviously that's a big piece of what we do. We call them now, we have a very distinct name, like the integrated transformational frameworks. That's really what Giving Business Soul offers, is the integrated transformational frameworks to really help you ascend that ladder of consciousness. And as you know very well, which is I think where we can dive in now, it's like, it's the wake up, the clean up, the grow up, and the show up. So you had certainly woken up, and now you're kind of, like you said, in limbo, floating in a dark cloud, because you opened up Pandora's box and you can see you got a lot of sensitivity. You got a sensation of your inner world and these emotions and all that stuff. But it's like, I didn't even know I had to clean up. And then once I pointed you in the direction, it's like, well, then how do I do that? And then that's where, our work began. And certainly I'd love for you to like, let's take it off from that standpoint. Now it's like we immediately start to work together and we
Yeah.
begin the cleanup.
Well, one of the things that I learned and right away that, well, it's not that I learned. I think I've always known, but one of the
Yeah.
things that really came to surface for me that I will suppress everything.
Mm.
Like nothing ever bothered me, nothing ever like faced me, and it wasn't that it didn't bother me or face me. I just didn't deal with it.
Yeah.
I just put it on the back burner and let it sit there, and it's not bothering me anymore. It is what it is. Not really understanding and realizing that all these little things I was putting in the back burner for the last 40 years or 43 years,
Mm-hmm.
they all came out at once. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the best way to put it. It's like you've been putting things in this cup
Mm-hmm.
your whole life to a point where it's already at the top and this thing's about to burst.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened to me. 46 years of traumas, 46 years of events that I have been suppressing, 46 years of, 43 years of suppression.
Yeah.
It all just escalated and it all just flourished at once.
Mm.
And when it did, it exploded.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that I suppressed, and I got so good at suppressing that I would just forget.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that I suppressed since I was a kid,
Yeah.
since I was as far back as 5, 6 years old,
Mm.
and all of that came up.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I started learning right away is that I can't hide from this anymore,
Yeah.
and I can't run away from it anymore. And it came down to the point where now it's like it's all here. I need to face it now. I need to face it head on. And I was like, my way of thinking is like, the faster I do this, the faster I'm gonna feel normal again.
Mm.
So I just said,
Let's go.
it's go time.
Yeah.
And you know, I signed up to the program, and I went through the first few videos. And when I went through the emotional intelligence video, like I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. Like that, to be able to do this,
Right.
and to be able to have the language to understand how to do this, it really made a life-changing. It was like a life-changing event for me.
It's like a paradigm shift, because obviously, like in business, we've heard the idea of like emotional intelligence and like the practicality that obviously the way we frame it in the module there, it's like it's more like not just like in how we respond, but the fact that emotions are like packets of information that are coming deep from the unconscious that says, here you go, George, take a look here.
Yeah.
And instead of what we've normally done of just like take it and let me just keep burying it and not processing it,
Yeah.
it's like now you became into the idea like, oh my God, this is actually evolutionary material.
Yeah.
There's codes in here. These are these repressed things that are actually keeping me stuck and keeping me in patterns and keeping me in cycles. Now let me take that and let me run it through these frameworks.
Yeah.
And let me integrate these things, and then let me keep moving. And yeah, that seems to be a favorite, is that emotional intelligence one.
Well, because if you really think about it, like for me, like the way I kind of see emotional intelligence and being able to work through it, that can be the thing and the source to stop any kind of anxiety or depression.
Exactly.
And when I started really working in that, and though, like one of the things that really worked for me and really helped me was journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I would journal. Sometimes, like I still had a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Man, I would go sometimes 3 or 4 nights in a row, only sleeping 1 hour, 2 hours, if that. And I remember I would text you and I'll be like, man, I'm like my 4th day. I've only gotten like 6 hours of sleep.
I remember.
But even like that, I still had to function. Even like that, I still had a business to run. Even like that, I had to like still try to be there and be present for my family and my kids and be present for my wife. And it was hard, man. It was very difficult. But I just kept telling myself, and I kept seeing it I just kept telling myself, like, this is something that I need to go through now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I just need to get through all this huge hallway of darkness to get to that end. And I need to, it's going to all be worth it once I get through there. And I would always hear from different people that everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And none of that ever really, I would hear it,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
didn't really make sense until I actually went through it. And I was
Yeah.
like, holy crap. And journaling, I would journal like, it was actually pretty interesting because that song that you sent me, the Debbie
Oh, yeah.
Prayer,
Yeah, the Debbie
the
prayer.
Debbie Prayer. I would put that on and I would start it over and
Yeah,
over
yeah.
and
That
over
was-
as I was journaling.
Totally.
And that thing's like 22
20,
minutes
yeah,
long.
22 minutes.
So sometimes I would journal and I would play that 4 or 5 for like 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
So what is that, like
Yeah.
2-3 hours, like
yeah,
2 hours
yeah,
maybe?
about 2 hours.
I mean, mind you, I was doing this like at 3 in the morning,
Yeah.
you know, and but going through those practices of, you know, journaling, putting it out there, really making it real, I think just seeing it made it real, and I was able to kind of like give it life again for me to be able to let it go again.
Like bring it into the light.
Bring
as
it into
being
the-
a-
bring it
and
into
bring
the
it
light,
into,
yeah.
into bringing it awareness. But I think what's really great to maybe share with everybody, I think you gave a really good description, like, because I feel like your path was an accelerated path.
Yeah.
I mean, you went through this stuff very, very quickly, but I think, like you said, it was just like ready to overflow from the cup.
Yeah.
And so when we came together, it was just like already like already coming out.
Yeah.
And so I think there was really no other option. Some people, it's like they run into something and it's like, cool, I'll show you how to run through that one. But in your case, it was just coming out like a fountain.
Yeah.
And obviously you took one of the practices of the journaling, the compassionate self-forgiveness,
That's huge.
and you started to kind of work with those elements, started to bring it into the light. And I love that quote from Rumi, right? It is through the wound that the light will enter you.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you're bringing it out, the wound into the light. You're bringing your own compassion, your own love into it, and it sort of starts to like integrate it in. And you know, with time, it just seemed like you started to stabilize your emotional body.
Yeah.
You know, you also, and I think what's an interesting thing too. I mean, you know, one of the things like you're saying, it's like I took the emotions, I just repressed them, or I didn't digest them.
No.
You know, and I think as you started to digest emotions, you also experienced with a lot of people in our community experience where they just started to shed weight.
Yeah.
You know, where like you really didn't change much else other than like you just started processing your emotions, and all of a sudden weight just started naturally going away.
Yeah. From the point that I started all that until till now, I've lost about 63 pounds. Or something
Wow,
like
that's huge.
that. And it's and I'm still going.
Oh yeah,
You know, like now I feel like I've hit a little plateau, and we discussed that because the weight kind of lingers, but I feel like my clothes fitting me looser
yeah.
and looser.
Thanks for
and
bringing
looser,
the new
which is-
shirt for you.
I know, man. We got another call in.
Just to give everybody background, I saw George in our last call together, and I was like, "Bro, you're swimming in that shirt." He's like, "My wife's been telling me the same thing," and then he decided to bring a new shirt for the podcast. So thanks for putting a nice.
I actually
fitted
bought a
shirt.
few.
All right, nice.
I bought a few because I was like, man, like, you know what's funny? Like, it's a trip because I haven't bought clothes that fits well in a while. So just being there at the store yesterday, and I was big, man. I was pushing almost 350 pounds.
Wow.
So I would shop at like DXL and those type of stores. Man, I'm happy to say I'm in the petite section now in that store now because
Nice.
like some of these clothes, I'm like, damn, like I know I pulled out like a 3X, and I was like, the hell, dude, this is like a freaking sauna, you know? Like, dude, like this is huge. And I was like, man, that was me. And just seeing myself, especially this year when I tried this shirt on, I was like, dude, this is how it's supposed to.
Yeah.
This is how it's supposed to feel.
Yeah.
And I started getting that sense of gratitude again, man. And my wife was there with me, and she was just, I could just see her smiling behind me, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, proud moment, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah. Totally. That's beautiful.
but I mean, it's yeah, like you start shedding those trapped emotions, and you start shedding off that weight too.
Yeah.
The other thing too that started happening to me, I would feel pain in different parts of my body, especially like in my lower back. And I started noticing as I started shedding a lot of these traumas and emotions that I had in there,
That's wild.
they're trapped.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden my back doesn't hurt anymore.
Yeah.
or like I would sometimes feel like this pain like right above my knee, like in my thigh, and it would just kind of come and go. And as I started going through all this, that pain's gone. Like, and I didn't do anything to it.
Right.
I didn't treat it, nothing. It's been there for years, and
Wow.
I didn't know what, And now, like, I've been dealing with something on my foot. It's starting to go away now, but I think I'm starting to like figure out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with that. I'm not doing anything different. It's just like I didn't understand. And honestly, I had heard that before too.
Right.
That traumas and emotions would get stuck in your body, and it would cause different feelings and different pains and different things. And I'll be like, oh, that's BS.
Yeah, of
How's
course.
that?
Yeah.
Now that I've gone through it, yeah,
Yeah.
it's 100% true. And I feel the more you clean up and the more you have a clean body from like traumas, and you're able to
Yeah.
deal with this stuff, you can really put your body in a position where you can. I think you can kind of like keep your body away from some pretty major diseases.
Yeah, yeah. I think
feel.
the way you can language that, because we share it all the time here, but it's like when you have unease in the emotional body, it shows up like disease in the physical body,
Yes.
right? And I've
100%.
shared that with you, where it's like if your specific parts of your body are aching,
Yeah.
it's like look up the significance of that body part and see what its spiritual significance is, and then you start to run that through maybe what you're experiencing in your
Yeah.
emotions. You're like, oh my God, it's like a message, or it's like
Yeah.
exactly what it is. So it's got, that's pretty astonishing. And I think for people listening, it's so amazing. Like how once you clear the emotions, how the body starts to come back in, you start to feel lighter, you start to feel better.
Yeah.
And I think as entrepreneurs, I think what I'd love for people to hear is like, obviously people sometimes ask like, why do inner work? Why do the inner work as an entrepreneur? I just got to get busy and get to the top and build my empire, and do that kind of stuff. Tell us where you are now. I mean, we've been working together almost together a good year,
Yeah.
and you've cleared a lot, and I think you're in a very significant point in your business. You're a significant point in your investments.
Yeah.
Tell us what's
Just
going
a
on
lot,
there.
a lot of different things have been happening, man. Great, good things, a lot of
Yeah.
good things, and mind you, I'm still working through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But now that I have the frameworks and I have the language and I have the tools, it's a lot easier for me to get through things.
Yeah.
To where before, if I would feel something, it would take me weeks to like of journaling and staying up and feeling anxious, to where now I can kind of get through things in a matter of like maybe a day or two.
That's awesome.
And like just to be able to sleep, bro, like that is so freaking
Yeah.
it's I didn't realize how important sleep is. And I would, coming from the music industry and the club life. I mean, I DJ'd for many, many years of my life, and staying up late, doing after hours, doing all that. I just thought my body was just used to it. And I can operate on 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep. Sometimes that was like my normal. Like sometimes
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to bed till like 12, 12:30, 1 in the morning sometimes. And I was at the gym at 5.
Yeah.
And I just felt that was normal. And now, I'm sleeping an average of about 6.5, 7 hours,
Yeah.
7.5 hours.
Yeah.
There have been certain days that I'll sleep 8.5 hours. And I'm like, whoa, what the hell? Like I wake up and I'm like, dude, what time is it? But I'm starting to feel like the best way I could describe it, I feel like I'm getting my life back. I feel like I'm starting to get my life back.
Amazing.
And in business, just like anything, I was in the real estate field. It started off a little slow this year, with all the stuff going on, the changes going on, everything going on. But it's slowly picking up already. It's already starting to move. It's starting to pick up, and I'm seeing how now I think things are stabilizing.
Yeah.
I guess per se. So now I'm definitely seeing a lot more activity. We're starting to get like pretty busy now. Like the whole team this weekend is out doing open houses, and they're
Nice.
all working, and everybody's working. So it's really cool. So business is doing well. And we started jumping on to buying property out of state. And same thing, beginning of the year, we ended up picking up one property, and then a few weeks, like no, maybe like a month later, picked up another one, and we're just like, things are just moving. But the thing is though that it's not that things are just moving, because just like myself, my wife has done a lot of work herself,
Sure.
and so now we both have a different energy at home.
Yeah.
It's a different energy at home. It's a different energy in our relationship. It's a different energy when we're together, when we're apart. When I'm at the office and she's working from home, like, that energy, it's at a higher vibration.
Yeah.
And so it feels like things are just coming. Like, and there's a quote that you talk about a lot, that you mention a lot. We're saying that you could, what is it? The Carl Jung quote, where you
Until you make the unconscious conscious.
until you make the unconscious conscious, you're gonna go through life thinking it's just faith.
That's right.
But it's not just
It's
faith.
not faith.
It's not just faith. Once you start being able to
I love that.
operate-
I love that you understand that now, because in the
Dude.
beginning, like, people hear me and they're like, it sounds cool, but I don't really get it.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
you get it.
I used to think about that. I was like, damn, that's a cool quote. Not really understanding
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
I'm like, it sounds good. But it comes back to the same thing of, like, everything you ever wanted in life is on the other side of fear.
That's right.
Everybody lives in fear, especially in this world. Everybody lives in fear. And the way I see fear is just a false evidence appearing real.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
the acronym to
Right.
fear.
Right.
And the like same thing, like the acronym of when you get a no, it just means, hey, next opportunity. Let's go to the next, let's go
I
to the
love
next
that
person.
too. Yeah.
That's the perspective I see things now. But just like, it hasn't affected just business. It's also affected me in my music creativity.
God, that's a really cool. That's a really cool. I'd love to kind of give people a little bit of insight into that too, because I feel like what we always talk about here in the Giving Business Soul community, right? Where it's like, when you do the cleanup work and you start to let go of those lower level vibrations, those anchors, they're in the body, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So you start to bring compassion, love, awareness, light into those places. You start to dissolve them.
Yeah.
And you start to literally ascend in the ladder of consciousness, right? And as that happens, what we know from science is that we live in a magnetic universe. People used to think it's an electromagnetic universe, but it's actually the other way around. It's magnetic electric,
Yeah.
which means it's first feminine,
Yeah.
meaning that we draw things into us first, right? So the more you increase that energy and that frequency, you start to bring in all the newness.
You start attracting.
You start attracting. That's the real law of attraction. But like, you can't just like, let me think about this and no. It's like, once you clear out the vibrations in the body, then you're, like we say here, you start, the universe starts to self-organize itself around you.
Yeah.
And in that evolution, it moves the needle in all the areas.
Yeah.
It moves the needle in your health, in your relationships, in your business, in your creativity, at home, everywhere.
Yeah.
And people don't really get that. And that's why we talk about it so much. It's like the one thing that you can do that's going to improve all areas is evolution.
Yeah.
Evolve, grow in consciousness, grow in awareness, and it's going to play dividends in all areas. And I'd love for people to hear that, because when you really think about creativity, it's sort of not our creativity. It's creativity coming from God. It's creativity coming from the higher origins of existence.
Yeah.
And when you start to ascend, it certainly feels like you're right there.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Where before, when you're too down dark in the down deep, it's like, I can't see it. I can't see it. But as you start to go up, it's like, oh my God, here it is. I'm in the flow state.
Yeah.
I can draw it in. And now and it sounds like what you shared with me the other day during our session. I was like, wow, holy shit. The fact that you're hitting top charts and doing all these different things, like, share that. Like, what's happening with music?
So music, like I mentioned, I own a record label. I've been operating this record label since 2010, and I've always been into music. It's always been a big part of me. When I really started focusing a lot on the business, I kind of put it on the back burner through my ayahuasca journey. Told me to get back into music. So that year we ended up bringing the studio home, and I don't have like a fancy studio or anything, nothing like this, at least, but
Not
I
yet.
just I just set up a little corner in my garage, and okay, you know what, I can work out of here, cool. And as I started cleaning up and clearing up, I started feeling that motivation to put it into music, put it into tracks. And I started getting back into production, started getting back into like releasing music. So I think I released the first record from Coming Back Again. That was like sometime last year, and just started kind of working on other tracks, and so I through that first song that I released last year, and it's not the first song I released, just from the comeback.
Yeah.
It it uh it caught the eye of other producers again, and it was like, it's not that they caught the eye of like, oh, who's this guy? It was like, hey, where's this guy been?
Yeah,
that type of thing. So I got approached by some friends of mine from New York and Polyrhythm, and they asked me if I can remix one of their songs. I was like, yeah, sure. Did the song, and man, I felt good doing it. I felt like I was in a good flow. I was like, all right, cool. This is cool. I feel like I'm starting to get this edge again. But obviously, like everything else, it evolves. Like if you listen to the music that I've produced when I first started, it sounds completely different to now. But now it's like, I feel like when I get into the studio and get that inspiration to start recording, it's because it's a feeling now. It's not even let me get in there and see what I could do, because I'm not in the studio recording every day.
Sure.
I go in there, and the times that I do get in there, I structure the entire track. Like, I don't finish it. I just structure the whole track. Like what are gonna be the breaks, what are gonna be the bridges, what's gonna be everything. Like the whole structure, I can get it all done in a matter of hours now.
Wow.
Everything just like aligns.
Like that beautiful mind. It's
Everything just aligns. And now, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but because I did experience a lot of Kundalini experiences.
Yeah.
Kundalini
Yeah, we're gonna have to bring you
awakenings.
back for that episode.
So Kundalini awakenings, look it up. That's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, one of the things I realized, that once you go through that awakening process, it just stays in you.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. It's already open. It's awakened. And people would spend years trying to wake that up.
Yeah.
And for me, it feels like it happened from one day to the next. And again, it didn't happen it happened because it needed to happen.
Sure.
So I started doing some more research on that, and I started seeing how a lot of people that are able to tap into that use it for creativity.
Yeah.
A lot of painters use it for that. A lot of like other musicians and stuff. So now, when I do start feeling my activation on, because you could feel it, you could feel that energy through your body.
Yeah.
I just tell my wife, hey, I need to record. And I get in
So
there.
you're
and
channeling that energy, all that creative life force.
Yeah. So one of the songs that we have out right now, I collaborated with a friend of mine from Tijuana. Awesome producer. He was the number 12 producer in the world last year.
Wow.
But him and I collaborated, and we did this song just kind of like messing around. But last week it just fell off the charts. It was in the top 10 for 10 weeks straight.
Wow.
And it kept fluctuating from the number 3 song to the number 6, and then back up to number 3, and then number 4. It's still in the top 100, which is cool.
Yeah.
But man, just the fact that it stood up there for that long, I was like, whoa, this is cool. Like,
yeah.
And that has opened up a whole bunch of other doors. I got approached from a label in Spain to remix a song for them, so did that, and it just dropped as a promo last weekend. I think it's gonna be officially released next week. One of my new songs that I just came out last week too, that's right now like in the top 100 in the Afro Latin charts, and so it's like ever since I started doing all that cleanup, all the songs I was releasing, they were starting to hit the charts, at least the top 100. But this song, it's called Happy Drums out of all things, because it's a very percussion heavy song.
Yeah.
And it just feels like a happy song. So we're like, all right, Happy Drums it is. And it's funny because the name's kind of silly for a song, but man, it got a lot of love. A lot of love. People were using it for their it's like people have been using it on their TikTok videos, on their Instagram videos. People like there's a DJ that was playing out in I don't remember if it was like in Singapore, somewhere out there. And when he's playing, the song is playing in the background. And so it was just really cool, man. Like seeing all that movement,
Yeah.
and all of that happening. And again, that song was something that I just recorded out of like
Inspiration. Just in a moment like that.
And I just recently finished a song that I did with my daughter.
Wow.
My daughter's always been she's self-taught, piano, bass, guitar, and she's like she just picks things up quick, man. She's super talented in whatever she does. I mean, she just graduated high school a couple years ago. She's 20 years old, and she's doing a music video for one of her friends. And
Wow.
dude, she's super creative. And so she did some work on this song. So I was like, yeah, you're gonna get credits on this song. So it makes me proud to put her name on it. And we just got the cover for it. So I just did a quick little promo video. I just posted it on my Instagram for the label. So it's pretty cool, man. Just like talking to her about it, like, hey, like it was so cool when the track got signed, because it got signed to a label in Venezuela.
Okay.
I was gonna release it under our label, but if I did, because I have so many releases lined up, I mean, just from all the people that want to release on the label now.
Wow.
I have releases lined up all the way up until like November. So I don't want to bump anybody out.
Yeah.
So like, I'll just release it then. But no, one of my buddies in Venezuela heard it, and he's like, bro, this is awesome. Can I release it? I was like, yeah, you know what? He has his label's called Chivirito or something like that, but it's making a lot of big moves. And he's gotten some pretty big artists on this label already. So I was like, yeah, dude, you can release it. Cool. So when he sent me the contract, I sent it to my daughter. I'm like, here, you need to sign this.
Nice.
So I was like, damn, that was so cool just to be able to do that with her, like giving her like the opportunity of her first music publishing deal, So I was like, super cool to be able to do that with her, It's super cool.
That's amazing.
So
man.
there's like I said, there's just
so much goodness, man.
Yeah,
so much goodness.
A lot of good things happening, man. Really cool things happening. But more than anything, I mean, just a relationship that I've been able to like rebuild with my kids. It's pretty amazing, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
The relationship that my wife and I have, it's super great.
I remember one time you called me and you guys were on a date, and I think you guys went to go visit where you guys got married.
Yeah.
And I remember like when you were sharing it with me, I think you kind of said something to the effect like it just feels like you're walking on heaven on earth. And I remember like getting that sort of sensation through my body and kind of feeling your guys' love and how this work has really just created a real deeper transparency, deeper intimacy. And, as you're starting to see, it's like, man, the more you integrate your own masculine and feminine, and then you're able to externalize that with a partner, it creates, like, in my estimation, and like how I see it visually in my mind, it's like this massive, beautiful, toroidal, energetic field that's like a little and it literally just starts bringing so much goodness in every area of your life, from your relationships with your children, business, your hobbies, doing creative work like that. And it certainly sounds like you're in what I would consider to be the building of the kingdom. You are obviously, you didn't just go through the round table, but you're obviously on the path of the merchant, which is the higher course that we have here at Giving Business Soul. And in that, we teach entrepreneurs not to create empires, right? Empires coming from this idea. When you look up pyre, it means the worst of. M is into the worst of. So all the empires that have ever been created are really being created from ego. They're being created from wounding. And then you build these external constructs based on domination and control and authority and wanting to be significant and look at me and all that. And eventually they all come crumbling down, and what we're really looking at building as individuals are kingdoms. Kingdoms have this idea of the here and after, and it really comes from after we start to clean up, and it comes from the inside out. It emerges deep from within the being, and it literally just starts to naturally and organically come out. And it's rooted. It has a foundation. It's built on love and goodness, and it certainly feels like you're in the development of your kingdom now,
Yeah.
with your wife, your queen, your kingdom with your investments, where your investments are starting to bring in cash flow, and
Hmm.
where work becomes a choice, not a necessity.
Yeah.
You have people in your organizations that are there because of that toroidal feel. It's like, hey, I just want to be with you guys. Can I just kind of be in business with you guys,
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see what's happened in the last year for you. And I think to kind of bring us to a close, man, what do you think is next? What's the next steps for you?
Oh man, I'm just, you know what? I'm like I said, I'm still working through a lot of stuff. You know,
Sure.
I still have some days where I struggle. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a spirit living a human life here, man.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I've been able to come to terms at, and that's actually gonna be the thing that has really helped me get through a lot of things that I've felt in the last maybe 6 months. Is that, you know what? I'm only human, and it's okay to feel this.
Exactly.
And I've kind of made peace with that, even though, man, it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sucks, and if you're like, fuck, man, I feel like shit, and
Mm-hmm.
but it's just what we feel as humans.
That's right.
But once you know the frameworks and you have the language to be able to, kind of like, it's kind of like put it into a story.
Yeah. That's so well said.
Once you're able to put it into a story, then you can just
Yeah.
close the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, like, that's what I would do when I would journal. I mean, I shared with you that the way I would journal, and for me to let things go, I would burn the pages.
Yeah.
I would burn them, go out into my backyard and turn on my barbecue, and then it's like, do the self forgiveness, forgiving myself
Mm-hmm.
for falling into the misconceptions of whatever it is that I was writing, and then I would just light those things on fire, and then I would just sit there and just pray.
Mm.
And as I was praying, it would be like a prayer of like gratitude.
Wow.
And after I would do that, then I was able to get a few hours of sleep.
Yeah.
It's just like that feeling of letting that heaviness go,
Mm.
you know. So like I said, I still work through stuff. I mean,
Sure.
it's been 40, like I mentioned, 43 years of
Yeah.
just
Yeah. They're
shit
gonna
just
clean it
sitting
up in
there,
one year.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm still gonna go through my things that I'm supposed to go through.
Right.
But definitely things are a lot better.
Mm.
It feels like it's pretty interesting because it feels like I'm attracting more good things.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just feel like we call like I mentioned to you on one of our calls, like a few months ago, like there was escrows falling out and things
Mm.
just falling out, and like, man, what the hell's going on,
Right.
But I realized that I was working through some stuff too, so my energy wasn't really there. My
Mm-hmm.
vibration wasn't really there. Once I was able to kind of clear up what I was working, like from one day to the next, like all these deals started coming through again.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the full understanding of how energy and vibration really works.
Mm.
So in order to operate at your highest level, you got to be at your highest energy and your highest
Mm.
vibration. And that's how you're able to bring the good into yourself.
That's right.
But I mean, if there's a day that you don't feel like that, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. You just got to work through it and get yourself back.
I love that, man.
So
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
we're just going to keep doing what I'm doing, man, and
Yeah.
keep producing music. And for me, music production is kind of like my therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm able to release and let my creative juices flow. So we'll see what music brings. I mean, I still have it in my mind that I'm going to be DJing in Ibiza pretty soon,
There
but
you
with
go.
my wife and my kids there with me, though.
Yeah, totally right. I'd be
So,
love it. And then can I come?
yeah, for sure, man. Anybody can come. I mean, that's like something that I'm already putting
You're
out there.
visualizing it and you're
I'm
seeing
already
it.
putting it out there, and a couple friends of mine have gone out there in these last few months, and
Mm.
so I'm definitely putting it out there. I think it's something that I don't DJ much anymore, but when I do, I still have fun doing it.
Mm.
But man, that's always been a goal of mine to DJ out there in Ibiza, and we'll see. I mean, if it
Yeah.
not if it comes, I think when it comes.
Yeah, when it comes. That's beautiful. I
Yeah.
That would be my second visit to. Oh, actually, no, I haven't been to Ibiza. I've been to the Canary Islands, which are like right next to it. But
Right next door.
yeah, right next door. But that's beautiful, brother. And I think, just to kind of close myself out here too, I think, what you're sharing here at the close, it's like, I think what people experience a lot of times when they are taught these integrated transformational frameworks that we offer is they feel at least a sense of satisfaction because they know the orientation, they know the direction of where the real work is, and they know how to do it.
And the hope.
And the hope. And yeah, like
the hope. That's one of the things I really wanted to emphasize, that, from the amount of anxiety and depression that I felt, I mean, it came down to like a really, really dark place where it could have gone any way.
That's true.
And to be able to come out of that, it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
And like for people listening, if it's something that you've been looking for an alternative way to deal with those issues, you just got to have the courage to really go in deep.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because I do think people need hope right now, because it's like it's the mental illness and health issues. It's big, and it's like the pharmaceutical approach isn't the approach. And so if you're out there listening, certainly give a visit to the Giving Business Soul website, where you can learn more about the one-on-one coaching, the self-study masterclass, and come into the community. And brother, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's beautiful. It's encouraging. And I can't wait just to continue to witness this unfolding of the kingdom, man. So
thank you, man. Pleasure to be here with you guys.
All right, brother. Much love. Let's do it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Giving Business Soul podcast. If you want to learn more about the transformative work we're doing, please visit our website at givingbusinesssoul.com. Discover how you can make a difference in the world through your business while fulfilling your spirit, enhancing your health, vitality, and relationships. And until next time, stay inspired, my friends.